With a win yesterday in the first leg of this Sebring doubleheader, George Kurtz clinched the GT America powered by AWS Gt3 Championship with 3 rounds to go. While that title has been secured, no fewer than 5 drivers, Adam Adelson, Jason Bell, Ross Schwest, Rob Holland, and Moise Uretsky, find themselves within a mere 15 points as the season winds down. Hello everyone and welcome to Sebring International Raceway, where the field of GT3 and GT4 cars is already on the track for the first of 2 formation laps. Now beginning the second formation lap, getting ready for what is the second of 2 races this weekend at Sebring. Hello, my name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside. Amanda Busick is in the pit lane. Let's introduce you to this starting field. George Kurtz, the champion-elect, will start on the pole. He'll have the runner-up yesterday, Jason Harward, starting alongside. Jeff Burton and Mirko Schultes in the Callaway Corvette make up row number 2, while Jason Daskalos, who had mechanical troubles yesterday, will start at the back of the GT3 grid. To the GT4 grid, where Elias Sabo is set to start on pole. He was 5th here yesterday. Moise Uretsky won 2 races yesterday. This one, as well as the Pirelli GT4 America race, he starts on the outside of the front row. Brian Putt will share row 2 with St. Pete winner Marco Radicic, Jason Bell, and veteran Andy Pilgrim back in row 3. Then you'll find Adam Adelson, the points leader, who finished 2nd yesterday in the GT4 class, starting alongside Ross Schwest, 5th in points, one of those championship contenders. Seth Lucas, a 3-time winner this season, will have Rob Holland on his flank. He too is in the championship mix. Anthony Bartone, Custodio Toledo in the following row, then Todd Coleman and Joey De Silva, Nick Shanny and Jay Logan, and finally Rick Euler at the back of the field. George Kurtz got that championship wrapped up yesterday, Calvin, but GT4 is wide open, and it only got tighter seemingly after another race yesterday.
Yeah, it was a fantastic day yesterday with all of the action, and George's win yesterday was like the icing on the cake. Just a great race here, there with Jason Harward, and expect more of the same today with Jason starting from the pole. But as you said, that GT4 championship, everything up for grabs. Uretsky's win yesterday throws him right into the mix. He's got a really fast race car, and if he can sweep this weekend, he could be the champion come Indy.
It was an emotional victory lane interview with Moise Uretsky yesterday. Let's see it again today.
Well, Moise Uretsky has put himself right back into the championship hunt in this battle for GT4 and GT America. Jason Bell out of this race, Rob Holland out of this race. Could you imagine this kicking off this from the pole?
Yeah, it was a good race. Sorry to hear they had some bad results. Obviously good for me. Sebring is my hometown racetrack. I live in Miami. I felt pretty bad after crashing out in practice 1, making the guys fix the car for about 7 hours yesterday. So we had to do a good job today. We got on pole. Got the race started after the tires got up to temp. Just got out there, did fast laps, and stayed on front.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Great way to kickstart his day yesterday, and it turned into a 2-race win day, both in GT America and Pirelli GT4 America. Well, time to turn them loose. 5 GT3 cars and a full field of GT4 machines ready to go. The safety car pulls off, the field enters the VP acceleration zone, and the champion-elect, George Kurtz, will lead the field to the green flag. Tom Hansing has it in hand, and it waves above Sebring International Raceway. Great start for Kurtz. Jeff Burton for the 2nd row, making a big charge up the inside. He'll be fighting with Jason Harward. 2 Lamborghinis going for position in 1.
Ooh. That was really tight there, big compression there, right at apex. Now the GT4 cars get released.
Oh, big move there by Adelson, the points leader, further back in the pack. He's going alongside Jason Bell, who's also there in the points mix too. At the front, Uretsky and Sabo side by side. Sabo edges ahead, getting a nice little push there.
Look at Jason Bell though to the inside. He's trying to make a monster move here, looking for the lead early.
Oh, Jason Bell, the Floridian, he wants a big result here on home soil. He's able to lunge to the inside of Putt. Looks like he's about to take 2nd away. Meanwhile, a challenge for the lead overall. Jason Harward took a look around the outside of George Kurtz, but George held him off.
Yeah, Harward really gets up on the wheel early in these races. We saw it yesterday at a tremendous pace with that Zalus machine. Faded a little bit later in the going. Left to be curious as to whether they made some changes to that car, make it a little bit stronger in the long runs. Here we see some smoke coming from the tail end of that championship leading GMG machine.
That's a storyline to keep an eye on. Sabo has built a bit of a gap now, 5 car lengths or so over Bell's halfway through this opening lap. Brian Putt looking really aggressive early. Adelson right there, close in tow.
Yeah, my mistake. Adelson obviously leads the championship by a slim margin over Jason Bell after yesterday, but not sure if Jason got into another car there in that Schmozzle down in turn 1 and has a tire that's getting a little bit of rub. Have to wait and see as the fuel load burns off. Maybe that leads up a little bit.
Still a great opening lap from Jason Bell, and he needed one. He's had a bit of a dry streak in this championship as of late, has decided to eschew his duties in Pirelli GT4 America for the rest of the season to focus on trying to win this title. Here's a challenge again. Harward looking awfully stout in a straight line. Took a peek around the outside of Kurt, settles back in line through Sunset Bend for the first time.
This car looks so solid around this racetrack that we've really nailed the setup this weekend. George has a lot of confidence in it. Big battle here between Daskalos and Schultes.
Daskalos had that disappointment yesterday, a splitter issue on that Audi. Harward, look how strong he looks mid-corner. He's going to take a look to the inside of Kurtz here on this run down to Christensen Corner.
Awesome stuff here. You talk about Christensen Corner. George texted me last night. He said he got a congratulatory message from Tom Christensen himself last night. He said, what about that? That is pretty cool that he was observing the race here yesterday.
To say the least, Mr. Le Mans, Tom Christensen, who, as you've noted, has had some success himself here at Sebring. Here's Harward hounding George Kurtz. He's not found a way by yet, but looking like he's got the pace here today. Maybe lacking a little bit yesterday, but they found something overnight.
He really has, and I love his racecraft. He's really developed his skills immensely as this season has progressed.
Top 4 in the GT3 class running in lockstep. Kurtz, Harward, Burton, who was awfully aggressive at the very drop of the green, and Mirko Schultes hanging tough. But this is a developing story here. Smoke off the rear. Is that coming from the tire, or is that something more ominous, Cal?
Yeah, I don't see any bodywork rubbing that tire, so it's something that's coming from the tail end of the race car. Not sure what oil line may be down there, but that is getting worse, it seems.
Jason Bell, so much has been put on this race, on this championship, deciding to focus his efforts here. He knows what it takes to get this done, but it appears that car might be in strife in the early going. 36 minutes still to go.
Sabo looking solid up front. That Flying Lizard operation have really got their act together this year. They seem to get stronger and stronger every single weekend. Definitely a factor here for the win today, and they're really running well in Sprintex as well.
Amanda, you've got an update on the reigning champion, Jason Bell?
Yeah, he's actually battling some more here than just kind of his qualifying. He told me yesterday that he just can't seem to qualify this car well this year, so he feels like he's always having to imply that racecraft that he's known for on race day to move up through. But yesterday, he actually took a tumble off of his scooter, landed on his shoulder. The whole right side of Jason has scrapes on his elbows, his shoulders, his right side. So racing through a little pain here today as well. But as we know Jason, he's definitely looking for that win here on home soil.
Thanks, Amanda. We can find out what's going on with that car. The smoke coming off the back of it. The pace has still been strong, Calvin. That's the good news. But it's rarely a good sign to see that wisp of smoke behind a race car.
No, it normally doesn't go away until something runs out in terms of the fluid, if it is a fluid leak. Look at Harward. He is all over Kurtz, but Kurtz is looking so confident in just placing that race car. Well, good speed through there. Harward cuts back, looks slightly different angle to attack these next series of corners here.
Mirko Schultes has passed Jeff Burton and now runs in the 3rd spot in the Mishu Motors Callaway Corvette. A good run in qualifying for race 1 yesterday, and that just didn't quite materialize in the race to our surprise, but Mirko Schultes, the German native, looking strong now. Now that he's clear of Burton, I'm curious what kind of pace he has relative to the top 2.
Yeah, because his signature move on a race weekend is to get stronger as the weekend develops, and certainly during the race, this car seems to have good speed, but yesterday he certainly dropped off a little bit. See what he has in hand today. But meanwhile, Harward continuing to hound Kurtz here down the Ullman straight, pokes his nose to the inside, just trying to harry George here into making a mistake. But so far, George has looked rock solid. Watch the bump through here. This is turn 17. Mercedes really complying through there, allows George just to put the power down nicely.
Going back to yesterday, Harward led the field to green. He led the early portions of the race, got caught out in traffic a little bit. That allowed Kurtz by, but once they were clear, Kurtz appeared to have the pace advantage. The roles have been reversed here, though, for race 2 today.
Harward looks really quick through turn 1. I think he could whistle through there a little bit quicker if George wasn't right in front of him, but not able to make it work by the time they get to Christensen corner for the brake zone. This is turn 5. Really tricky part of the racetrack. You start to get a little bit of tire degradation later in the run here. Get the power down out of there. You hop up on that curb there. You got to be careful you don't drop a wheel. Look at the racetrack there. You can see the black marks with the undulation as the cars and the tires are skipping across the surface.
Jason Harward right in the tire tracks of George Kurtz. He's tried a little bit of everything to this point, looking left, looking right. George Kurtz is free of the hindrance of thinking about the championship at this point. He can just focus on going out and winning races. Maybe he's a bit more stout in his defense as a consequence.
Yeah, I think it's freed him up, certainly. I mean, he had such a healthy lead, it was unlikely to go away, but nonetheless, until you've got it in the bag, you still think, got to be careful here, be conservative. But it was a brilliant race there yesterday. Great racecraft by both of them. George got a move put together, heading down to the turn 7 hairpin and made it stick and brought it home. And then Jason faded a little bit later in the going. So that's going to be the key here. Once we get to about 20 minutes in, if that Lamborghini maintains the pace that's being displayed right now by Jason.
Just how close have these two been? Their last lap was separated by 1/100th of a second. Nearly identical lap times between the pair. As Jason Harward continues his pursuit of George Kurtz, Amanda's got an update on Jason.
Well, it wasn't only that he was battling George Kurtz in his rearview mirror yesterday or the GT4 traffic that he ran into. He was battling an electrical issue that kept turning the Lamborghini off. Ty Isaac said it happened to him around 2 or 3 times during yesterday's race. That's the issue that they focused on overnight, but said that the Lamborghini is set up just as it was yesterday, just hoping that that gremlin is out of the circuit.
Thanks, Amanda. That's really interesting. How frustrating must that be in the cockpit to have to deal with that while trying to race for the lead?
Yeah, we saw his lap times drop off and thought it was, tires going away on him or the balance of the race car. So that's exciting that maybe he does have the pace to keep the pressure on for a full 40 minutes.
That's what he's done so far for the first 9. 4.5 laps into this 40-minute sprint. Single driver, multi-class racing. And then there is the traffic to think about. That made all the difference yesterday.
Watching this race develop, it reminds me of the battle we saw yesterday between Robbie Foley and Jordan Pepper in the Fanatec GT race, with the classic line that Robbie was running versus the kind of point and squirt attack mode that Jordan was in. That's why I see from Jason as well right now.
Best run of the season in GT America, powered by AWS, for Elias Sabo. His best finish to this point, a 5th in race 1 at VIR. He matched that yesterday, but set the fastest race lap yesterday, and by virtue of that was able to get the pole position, held off the initial challenge, and he has built a gap now of just about 1.5 seconds over Jason Bell. We continue to see the smoke out of Bell's GMG Aston, but it hasn't slowed him down. Adelson running a strong 3rd. Uretsky has moved up into the 4th spot around Brian Putt. That just happened here early on this lap.
I'd say that's the biggest surprise, that Uretsky kind of being demoted here a little bit. So dominant yesterday, winning here and then in Sprint X competition as well. So I thought he's going to be a big factor. And we talked about the championship. He really threw himself right into the mix with that victory yesterday, but he needs to get in front of guys like Adelson and Jason Bell if he's going to make an attack on this championship come Indy.
It was a big day for Uretsky yesterday. What a dramatic finish to the Pirelli GT4 America race. It was his co-driver, Justin Piscatel, that brought this car home and ended up holding off Elias Sabo's co-driver, Andy Lee, by 1/10 of a second at the line. It was remarkable. There was a whole lot more going on, too. But as far as their class was concerned, that was the drama. George Kurtz has been able to build a bit of a gap now, 1 second over Harward by virtue of setting the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race the last time by a 2:03.288 for George Kurtz.
Yeah, maybe it's appropriate. It's hammer time, right? He supports the Mercedes Formula One team. Lewis Hamilton known for getting on the gas when it's time to go, and George just laid down that lap and has really released the pressure a little bit from Jason from behind. Let's see if Jason can respond here on this lap.
One thing we noticed with this car, especially in the Fanatec GT race yesterday, is the longer the run went, the stronger the Mercedes seemed relative to its competition.
Well, it just seems to hug the racetrack. You see the Lamborghini kind of moving around a little bit more. It's a bit more edgy in its balance and performance. And I think that really just works the tires a little bit more across this surface. Sebring is not known for having high tire degradation. You would think it would with the rough nature of the concrete and the changing of the surface around this 3.74-mile circuit. But it seemed to hang on there, and we've seen that a lot from these Pirelli tires this summer. Hot days, aggressive days, slippery days on the racetrack, they still perform very late in the stint.
That's especially true here. The talk throughout the paddock was how much the pace was maintained over the course of a stint. Here at Sebring, we saw pretty high tire deg at Road America the last time out.
George was a little bit wide there through 17. I think he had to wait to get on the power. That's allowed Jason to have a little bit of a run at him, and he just lays down a monster lap by Harward. A 2:02.4. 8/10 quicker than George Kurtz, who'd laid down the fastest lap the lap previous to that.
Oh yeah, here comes Harward. Dodging, weaving, trying to find a gap, but George Kurtz to this point has not cracked under the pressure.
That is huge pace. That is really incredible pace here.
This is the run through Big Bend, a flat out right-hand corner down into the braking zone. Turn 7, the hairpin, great passing opportunity. George Kurtz senses the pressure, guards the inside. Harward trying the over-under. No room to make it work.
Yeah, he is really working him over. That Lamborghini has come to life. Looked like George had made the statement with that fast lap, and boy, did Jason respond.
Talked about Jason Bell focusing his efforts on a single championship. Same true now for Jason Harward. Started the season running both here in GT America, powered by AWS, the single driver sprint format, but also running the Fanatec GT World Challenge America, powered by AWS, 90-minute race. And he's backed out of that, focusing in his attentions here. Looking very strong in race 2 of the weekend. A runner-up yesterday from pole, running in the 2nd spot, but showing a ton of speed.
You really just see him going to school here, just trying to identify where is George placing that race car. And he's just trying to maneuver that Lamborghini, get a little bit higher line, entering some of these corners to just really key on getting the hands a little bit straighter. That allows you to go back to power a little bit sooner and get that exit speed. That slightly wider line through the middle of turn 17. There's a few more bumps out there, but that Mercedes is so hooked up. Ty Isaac looks on from the Zalus cam.
Team manager, man who knows speed well in his own right from a long career as a competitive speed skater at Harward. Oh, it's easy to do, just a little too much speed. Maybe got on the power a little too soon.
George is in deep there as well. He's missed his marks a little bit. Wow, Jason, I could see that one developing from tails away going through turn 1, but he kept it together, didn't hit the big compression there. Don't think he lost a lot of speed, and now he's right in the draft here.
As close as he's ever been. He made a try last time. Once again, George Kurtz guards the inside of the track. Harward forced to go to the outside. Heavy on the brakes. Oh, and George slips wide. Harward to the inside, and that was close.
Really close. I'm amazed these guys haven't touched yet. It's been really close quarters here a number of times.
No change in the GT4 running order. Still Sabo over Bell by 2.5 seconds. Bell back to Adelson, though, has closed in a little bit. Uretsky closing in on Adelson too, but this is the battle for the overall lead. It's been good since the drop of the green, and you can see lap traffic, GT4 traffic, about a lap or so ahead.
How different the balance is in these two cars we're looking at right here. I mean, the Mercedes just looks like it's gripping Velcro to the circuit. Lamborghini looks really edgy, moving around a lot more, but still got tremendous rolling speed.
There is the traffic that looms large out the windscreen for George Kurtz, who again is forced to go on the defensive here down the Oldman Straight. Harward trying to pick his line, elects to go wide. He swings to the outside through Sunset Bend, trying to set up a run down the front stretch.
Just keep that Lamborghini a little bit tighter there through the apex, and just fires it coming off. That's really wide.
Blue flag for the lap traffic. Here's to see the leaders coming through. It's Joey Da Silva making way for Kurtz and Harward. Harward got a good enough run where he didn't come under pressure. Better run through one that time though for Harward, neither dropping wheels on exit.
Just lost the downforce a little bit there into the brake zone. Had to give it up, otherwise he's going to run over the top there of George. He's exploring, Jason. He's looking for every inch of this circuit and a little bit more to try and find a way to carve his way through to the front.
What could Harward have learned from being the lead car in this scenario, working through the traffic yesterday, that now he can use to his advantage?
Nice job there by George, really getting right tucked down to the inside, ensuring that that GT4 car was aware that he was coming through.
Ends up driving by Rick Bueller, now Nick Shandy, the next of the GT4 machinery to go a lap down to the overall leaders.
Such a chess game, particularly when you're dealing with that GT4 traffic. I think a move ahead here. See there, Jason just exploring a little bit more of the racetrack on entry, and that gives him a really big radius through the corner. So hard to do there on the entry to Tower Corner. You're looking right, looking for that apex, and just feeling the edge of the road with your peripheral. See there, just really using all of that extra room out wide there on the approach to turn 16. That's Le Mans corner.
Now we drop back to this fantastic scrap in GT4, and as you called earlier, Moisey Uretsky had such good pace, dominated the race a day ago, got shuffled back early, but he has found his rhythm again and has run down Adam Adelson. This is for the final podium spot in the GT4 class, and it has major championship implications as Uretsky is trying to keep himself in the mix. His win yesterday totally reinserted him into the picture. Meanwhile, Harward's got his run. He's to the inside of Kurtz, and Jason Harward takes the Lamborghini to the point.
Yeah, was traffic a factor there coming through turn 17? It may have thwarted George Kurtz's ability to get off that corner a little bit, but Jason pounces. Now he's got traffic in between him.
That's Custodio Toledo in his first full season of pro racing. Lets the leaders slip on by, but Jason Harward, he was working him over for 20 minutes, finally saw his chance, and he took full advantage.
Let's see what he can do here. He had pace yesterday, didn't know about his electrical issues. Hopefully they're solved. He's got the lead now. He's got clean air on the front end of that Lamborghini. Meanwhile, in GT4, Sabo continues to lead from Jason Bell. Sabo not in championship contention, but everyone following him is.
And that maybe is the good news for someone like Rob Holland, for instance, who's in the championship hunt but running way down in 8th. The gap in terms of points paid from first to second is a pretty big drop-off. Just it is 7 points between first and second. So the fact that none of the championship contenders are running in that top spot, that makes a bad day not quite as bad for those running a little bit further down in the order. As the clock has ticked past the halfway mark, Amanda, we've got an update here on Elias Sabo.
We'll stand by with Darren Law, and just to point out, Andy Lee, his coach, is somewhere spotting Elias through his first pole position in racing here today on the track somewhere. But Darren, the guys have been talking about the growth for Elias this year in his racecraft. What do you attribute this to?
You know what, it's a lot of hard work from Elias. He's never actually run a full season. He's done various races throughout the years, and we really talked about it, and he committed to the full year. He's got Andy Lee working with him, and he's worked hard. You know, the crew has done a great job. The car is set up well, so I think it's all kind of come together as the season's come along, and he's really progressed.
His first pole in GT America. I saw him leaving the hotel this morning. Always that big smile on his face. getting a first win in the series. How rewarding would that be for Elias?
Unbelievable. That's been the goal all season long, and we've been so close. We've had podiums in every event we've run so far almost this year. So he's really excited. Fingers crossed we get it here today, and he was really nervous starting on pole today.
Thank you.
He was nervous. It didn't show. He held off the pressure with aplomb at the very beginning of this race. By the way, an update on the Jason Bell situation. The team telling Amanda it's a tire rub that's creating that smoke. That's one of those things you hope clears itself, and clears itself before it cuts down that tire.
Ooh, that was tight there with Radisic and Brian Putt there into the brake zone for turn 10. Yeah, I couldn't see the rub, but maybe it's an inner fender type thing that's rubbing. I couldn't see it from outside of the car. As the car loses a little bit of fuel weight, doesn't roll quite as much and get over, and obviously it's going to carve that groove in the car if it is tire rub indeed.
Boise Uretsky now on the attack, trying to find a way past Adam Adelson. Uretsky, winner as mentioned 2 times yesterday. Doesn't look like a win's in the cards here today with 17 minutes to go, running in the 4th spot. But if he were to make this pass, that would be big, because that puts the points leader behind him and moves him just that little bit closer in what is already a very tight title fight in GT4.
Early in the day, obviously, so we're not seeing the extreme temperatures hovering right around 80 degrees ambient right now. But you can see coming down the Ullman straightaway, didn't really want to tuck into the draft there, as we now see Howard, the SRO3 leader, cutting his way through this GT4 pack, and he has really dropped George Kurtz. See Kurtz there, several car lengths back now.
Howard's pace has been outstanding. That last lap pulled nearly 2 seconds on him. Here is the fight, though. Uretsky took a look around the outside of Adelson as we watch Kurtz work traffic. Doesn't look like Uretsky was able to make the pass stick through Christensen corner. Has to settle back in line. A veteran of MX5 Cup racing, raced an MX5 in the touring car division here in SRO America a few years back. Making the step into GT4 this year, and at times he has looked rock solid, especially as the season has progressed.
Coming into today, Adelson had that championship lead over a single point over Jason Bell. He runs behind him in the race, so that could change that position. There's also some complexity to the point situation this year in GT4 America, because there is a dropped event because the Cayman was not homologated for the opening rounds at St. Petersburg. There was a rule change which meant that every team could drop 1 event from their score, so that has to be factored in. That tightens things up even further.
All of that stems from the fact that the new Cayman that Adelson is running right here was not fully homologated in time for the season opener at St. Petersburg, and had to run therefore as an invitational class car. And so rather than disadvantage those Porsche teams, the decision was made to allow everyone to drop around. Now, there was a slight disadvantage to the Porsche teams because they were forced to drop those races in St. Pete, whereas others could pick and choose their worst event from the course of the year. But that said, it was a relatively equitable way to handle a difficult situation, but it's definitely made it difficult to keep track of the points as the year has progressed.
You just know it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight all the way to the final races at Indy. Adelson knows that. Very much in the mix with the Sprint X Championship as well. It is go time.
So often we talk about traffic as it relates to the faster class coming through, but it can have just as big of an impact on the race for the class being passed as well.
You got to know where to give it up and not make yourself vulnerable when you're in a tight battle like Adelson is right now with Uretsky. Just being really smart about it, reading the situation, and that all comes with experience. Schulter's doing a really nice job there, holding down P3 in class. His fastest lap time about just over a second shy of what Howard's displayed today, so good pace from Mirko.
On pace for yet another podium. He's been a podium machine all season long. Uretsky trying to get a podium as well. Peak, not close enough to make that move stick. Settles back in behind Adelson.
has kept that position of P5 over Marco Radicic. We saw those two battling it out a lap or two ago, but a few car lengths between them right now as they head down into Cunningham Corner. Beautiful rhythm, part of the track right here. Very flowing. This is the tricky part. You're coming in there, you don't want to get that left side up on that curb, otherwise you'll miss your turning point. The car is fully loaded on the left side of the car as you're turning in there. That's attack mode through these high-speed sweepers. That's Bishop Bend they're going through.
See Jeff Burton making his way past Brian Putt there. He'll soon be intermingling with his battle for third in GT4. Daskalos has gone off. He was running 5th in the GT3 class, and that looks like, whatever the cause, it's terminal. It looks like he's found a safe spot just to pull that car over and bring it to a halt. And safe to say, this is not the weekend he was hoping for. He came in with an outside shot at the championship, and that went away yesterday, and today has not gotten any better for him.
No, I had a splitter issue yesterday in the race they had to fix and get him back out there just so he's eligible for points. But it was a long shot to try and catch up to George Kurtz in this championship. But that Audi's a little bit long in the tooth now, and I think these other teams are really starting to display the full potential of these later generation GT3 cars, and it's going to be a tough road for Jason from this point forward if he sticks with that car, I feel.
Exactly. But that is one of the appeals of this championship, the fact that it provides a place for the previous generation of GT3 cars to still race competitively in a professional environment. Callaway Corvette, I'm not sure you'd get a chance to see it hardly anywhere else in the world. I think one actually was running in the Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia, powered by AWS this weekend. They had something like 10 different manufacturers on their grid.
I think it ran very well, as the team were telling me a couple of days ago. It's been running very strongly over there, but Uretsky is ramping up the pressure here a little bit on Adelson, and this is so key in the championship. He looks to the inside, doesn't really make a bold move for it, just trying to weigh up the situation. Just under 12 minutes to go, so time is running out for him.
Think about the difference in experience level between these two. Moise Uretsky has honed his craft racing an MX-5 Cup, which is ultra competitive, huge fields, equal cars. He's been doing that for a few years. Meanwhile, Adam Adelson, very new to this, and therefore deserves a lot of credit for just how well he has performed all season long, especially in situations like this one.
Well, it's so fun to see these guys develop and just really get that confidence and racecraft going. They show flashes of it, but doing it on a consistent basis is number one, and then you get in a race situation like this, and look at this. Up front, it's got a little bit tighter between Howard and Kurtz.
And this is the high-speed turn one. We see our race vision powered by AWS. Jason Harward, Jeff Burton, that Lamborghini appears to be the strongest through that part of the racetrack, but George Kurtz just set the crowd strike, fastest lap of the race. Just reeled in Harward by the tune of 0.6 of a second, and suddenly that lead is down to 1.3, where it was up over 2 seconds just a few laps ago.
Where did that time come from? Been sitting in his pocket somewhere. Still 10 minutes to go. He's got some time to work with here, potentially. He's going to get Jason's attention, that is for sure. Schultes just ran his fastest lap of the day as well at 2:03 flat, so lots of pace here late in the going.
Jason Harward seeking his first win in GT America since the very beginning of the season. He was a winner in race 2 at Sonoma. He's had a number of podiums since then, including the runner-up yesterday, but has yet to return to victory lane. This would be his second pro win if he can hold George Kurtz off for the final 9 minutes and 42 seconds.
We just laid down the fastest first sector of the day, so he is on it. He's up on the wheel, but George is hanging with him.
Let's get more on George Kurtz now with Amanda.
How does a champion celebrate his championship? Well, guys, he stayed right here at the track yesterday. They were already working on adjustments on his car for the Indy 8 hours. So that is how George Kurtz celebrated his championship here in GT America. Ever the competitor for George Kurtz.
It's been a great year for George.
Oh, big mo. I could hear the tire squeal. Then you see the moment for Jason Howard. Here comes George Kurtz to the lead.
Just like that, the door was open, and George Kurtz needed no second invitation. The CrowdStrike driver back to the front.
That was a huge save. Oh, and
Howard
Howard's there over the bumps, and now he's back on the attack immediately.
And remember that stat we just saw. This is where the Lamborghini excels through turn one. Jason Harward will not like this one bit. Back where he spent the first half of this race trying to find a way by. And now sitting right there in the tire tracks of Kurtz, looking to atone for his miscue, and he goes off.
I think the tires have just gone off a little bit on him, so he went immediately back on the attack, and the grip is not there for him. That was a huge moment. I could hear the tire noise from the camera at the side of the racetrack, and then you saw the car completely sideways.
When a racing slick talks to you like that, you know you're on the ragged edge.
It is hard to recover because those bumps are just bucking you around through there.
Credit where credit was due. It was a great save.
Awesome save, great car control.
But it cost him the lead. And now George Kurtz is starting to build that gap. Back we go to the fight for third. This is all happening behind Elias Savo and Jason Bell, who continue to run 1 and 2. You can just see them disappearing into the foreground. It looks like Brian Putt just lost a couple of spots on the last few laps. Radisic now up to 5th. Seth Lucas made the pass on the last lap and now runs in the 6th spot. And as Moisey Uretsky continues his pursuit of Adelson, let's hear more about his story.
Well, his driver coaches of Eric Voss and Justin Piscatell are in turn 7 talking Moisey through this pursuit of Adelson over the last several laps of this race here today. But going back to yesterday, for Moisey, it was such a big day for him. He got a win in GT America as well as GT4. And yesterday, Ryan, I know you mentioned that carbon fiber on top of that Aston from the incident that they had here this weekend. He wanted to show appreciation to his team, so he stayed here last night having dinner with the team here at the track. The team feeling very appreciated by that. They just worked on general maintenance on this car, changed a little bit in the car, including the front brakes, but other words, left it as it is.
And for good reason. It was so strong yesterday, which again puts into perspective just how good a job Adam Adelson is doing holding this 3rd spot despite all the pressure.
I'm not saying that Moisey would just take off and go catch the leaders, but I'm surprised based on the speed that we saw yesterday that he's not able to get by Adelson. The Aston Martin is obviously very strong here at Sebring this weekend. Sabo has just looked perfect up front. What a day for him. This could be a game changer in terms of his confidence going to an even higher level.
Denied victory by just a 1/10 of a second yesterday in Pirelli GT4 America. 2-driver format, 1-hour race. But looks like he's got this one in control. Still though, 5.5 minutes to go. And as we learned yesterday, you can't say it's over until it's over.
Just sitting there, sitting in the shadows of that Cayman right now, looking for an opportunity. Hasn't been super bold or aggressive on Adam so far today. Now he's a little bit closer. Right there. Does he have anything into that brake zone? Flicks out early. Squeezes it down to the inside, braking a little bit later, but not enough.
The best look he's had at Adelson so far. Adelson just laid enough on the brakes to be able to sweep across the nose and hold down that 3rd spot. Keep in mind the stakes here. This is the points leader in Adam Adelson, and the driver who has been on the hot streak as of late, Moisey Uretsky, who re-entered championship conversation yesterday with his race 1 win. And as tight as this title battle is, every point so crucial, and these two will know that.
It is a critical time here today, and I think for Jason Bell, he'll be hoping that Uretsky maybe gets around Adelson and drops him a little bit. Increase that points buffer between 2nd and maybe bump Adelson back to 3rd, but Adam's just doing a tremendous job of withstanding this pressure here today.
2 other drivers that are in the conversation. 3rd or actually 5th place in points and tied for 4th. Rob Holland and Ross Schwest, but running well down the order. A bit surprising to see them down in 8th and 9th. And they are duking it out, trying to garner as many points as they possibly can, knowing there are just 2 races left this season at Indianapolis in 2 weeks' time.
A strange end to the race yesterday. Rob Holland, along with others, all ran out of fuel with the frenetic pace that we have in these championship rounds now. No yellows to get you any fuel save, and there's plenty more room in the fuel cell supposedly, so it's just a miscalculation by some of the teams in terms of the ultimate pace that they ran yesterday.
Through the dust, Ross Schwest, his pursuit of Rob Holland continues. Holland feeling that pressure, guarding the inside. Schwest has his fears full of the veteran Andy Pilgrim, and Pilgrim's teammate Anthony Bartone right behind in that mix too. Back to this fight for 3rd. Uretsky tried this the last time. Is he closer this time? Well, not close enough.
Adams did a good job there, not panicking, not trying to close the door, risk contact. Just braking super late on the racing line. That's where the rubber is, so you should have a little bit more grip than trying to put it down to the inside like Moisey is.
What are you learning, though, as you make these attempts, knowing that time is running out?
I think what Uretsky is learning is that Adam Adelson is not going to be intimidated. He feels confident into these brake zones, even if Moisey is looking down the inside. He doesn't seem to have a big enough advantage to make it stick.
Update on the Gt3 battle. George Kurtz still leads, now 4.5 seconds over Jason Harward. Mirko Schultes appears to have solidified his hold on the 3rd spot. Jeff Burton runs 4th. So all eyes are fixed here in GT4. 3rd place, Adam Adelson in the Premier Racing Porsche. And Moisey Uretsky and the accelerating performance, Aston Martin running 4th.
Well, that smoke that we came, that's a great shot, seeing
Yes.
that plane land in the backdrop there. But for Jason Bell, I'm sure that the team were worried about that smoke that we saw early in the race. It did seem like it's gotten a little bit less as this race has progressed, so maybe it was indeed tire rub that is now got some clearance.
Down to the final 90 seconds of this race. Adam Adelson has been under pressure for the last 20 minutes and has yet to crack. Moisey Uretsky asking a lot of questions, but Adelson has had all the answers to this point.
See where the overall leaders are to see how many laps these guys have to play with. 40-minute markers based on the overall leader, our GT3 leader, which is George Kurtz. He's now spread that gap up to 4.5 seconds over Jason Harward. What a roller coaster gap we saw at the front between those two here today.
A near perfect weekend as it's shaping up for George Kurtz, coming out of the final turn with the white flag waiting for him. The champion-elect of the GT3 class in GT America, powered by AWS, looking to sweep the weekend and head to Indianapolis with no pressure on his mind already. The series champion, Jason Harward, did a great job to drive up into the top spot briefly. George Kurtz able to get it back and has extended his advantage here over the final few laps. Back to the fight for 3rd in GT4.
Yeah, it's not going any tighter. Adelson looks to be in control here, our championship leader.
The dust kicked up as Adelson dropped a wheel. That brings Uretsky just that little bit closer. Tough place to make a move, though.
It really is. He's going to have to get spicy here, I think, to make it happen. So far, he just seems to be super patient in terms of waiting for an opportunity. But as you said, time is running out. This is not the final lap for these guys. They're going to do this lap plus one more.
Sand running out of the hourglass for Moisey Uretsky, winner yesterday, trying to take the 3rd spot away from the points leader, Adam Adelson. This will be the 2nd to last time through Sunset Bend.
I really think he's managing those temperatures, looking at where he places the car on that straightaway line. He's not trying to pick up the draft of the Porsche. He wants the clean air on the front end.
The white flag for this, the battle for 3rd. The GT4 points leader, Adam Adelson, and one of his closest challengers, Moisey Uretsky. Just a couple of corners away, though, from a weekend sweep for this man, the champion for 2022, George Kurtz.
Yeah, he just suddenly lit the fuse there, didn't he, halfway through this race and laid down that 202 flat. Just then we thought that Howard had all of the pace to win this race. George says, not so. I'm the champ. I'm going to showcase it here this weekend and sweep.
Yesterday, he took the title. Today, he completes the weekend sweep. For the 8th time this season, George Kurtz is a race winner in GT America powered by AWS.
That was cool. That was a great race.
Set the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race in the process, securing yet another win for Elias Sabo. This would be a first. Had his first GT4 pole in this championship today. Withstood some early pressure, but quickly took control, and he's now half a lap away. Less certain, though, is the battle for third. Adelson, can he withstand the pressure one last time?
That's out really wide there. Let's see if he drops a wheel again coming off tower. No, he doesn't. Cleans it up a little bit. They got a little bit closer to Jason Bell, but time has run out on terms of trying to grab that runner-up position away from him. Sabo on the last lap, definitely being a little bit conservative, trying to bring it home, about a second slower than the chasers.
For the final time through 15 and 16, Uretsky, if he's going to get it done, it's got to be either into sunset or getting a run out for the drag race to the checkered flag. We'll keep an eye on this battle, but for now, the man of the hour is Elias Sabo, Flying Lizard Motorsports. Set to return to victory lane here at Sebring International Raceway. Sabo through 17 for the final time, and the checkered flag will await him. Elias Sabo wins race 2 of the weekend at Sebring. Jason Bell finishes second and claws just that little bit closer in the points hunt. And Adam Adelson does fend off Moise Uretsky to take the final step of the podium.
Great run by Jason there, finishing runner-up. I think that'll give him the championship lead. Heading to Indianapolis, we've still got those drop scores to be factored in as well, so that could even be your round to Indy as well if you have a bad weekend, so lots to play for.
As mentioned, CrowdStrike fastest lap to the CrowdStrike car, George Kurtz. A 2:02.035, some 0.4 of a second clear of the next closest lap. Domination as far as that's concerned, and you look at the margin of victory, 15 seconds, and it looks like it was a dominant performance. But Jason Harwood, it looked like he had this race won, and you have to wonder if maybe some of those gremlins that affected him yesterday came to roost again.
Possibly, because the last few laps, he was running laps in 2:09, 2:10 range, so I wonder if that electrical issue was kicking in, and I wonder if it was anything to do with the moment he had in the middle of 17, if anything shut down on him.
How about this? It's always a huge smile on the face of Elias Sabo, but we might see a new record. This is his first win in GT America, powered by AWS, his first win with Flying Lizard. And he's been working hard at this for a number of years to put himself in a position to do this. He and Andy Lee have hit on something. He was quick to credit the team, and Owen Hayes, who's really helped on the engineering front to get this car set up. It takes a village, that's for sure, and they've got a great support system for him there at Flying Lizard. Great to see him put it all together for a race win.
Yeah, and I think it's just really setting up nicely. If that group comes back together for 2023, look out in terms of being championship contenders.
Provisional results, race 2 of the weekend in GT America, powered by AWS. George Kurtz, his 8th win on the campaign. Jason Harwood will settle for another runner-up result, 2, in fact, here this weekend. And Mirko Schultz is back on the podium, where he's been a fixture throughout the season. Jeff Burton finishes 4th. Elias Sabo, that long-awaited win, and he fends off Jason Bell. Jason Bell, though, will be relatively pleased with that, given the fact he was nursing a tire rub from the opening lap. Still manages to come home second and make some gains in the points, and Adelson completes the podium there in the 3rd spot. A little bit further down in the order, and Jason Daskalos, you have to say, what a frustrating weekend it's proven to be for him. The driver who came in second in the GT3 points with an outside shot at the title, eliminated yesterday, and a DNF in race 2 today. Let's hear from our overall winner now. George Kurtz is with Amanda.
Well, George, you sweep hit here at Sebring. You pick up the championship. You set the CrowdStrike fastest lap during that race, and just the battle between you and Jason here this weekend. Talk about the composure that goes through a race car driver's mind when waiting for those moments.
Well, he didn't make it easy, so you know, we had the lead for a while, and as they say, traffic give it, traffic take it away. So I got held up, and he really navigated the traffic well and had a pretty good gap. And really then it was just about, you know, hitting the lap times and just, I thought I had a little bit more on the tires left, and we just cranked in some really fast laps until the end, and we put the pressure on and we got the win.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It has clicked, it's safe to say, in the GT3 car for George Kurtz. Similar story. We saw him several years ago as he was learning the ropes in GT4, and all of a sudden it all came together and he starts rattling off these wins a title. And it took a few years, but something has fallen into place for George in GT3, and this year has been his coming out party.
Yeah, he's taken it to another level, and I think his racecraft is superb. The move he made yesterday was fantastic. And then, as he said, you know, he lost the lead, but then he just knuckled down and just laid down that lap out of nowhere. That was a huge lap. We thought Jason had found something that was extraordinary, and George beats that by 4 or 5 tenths. So the pace was there. It was just extricating it out of the race car. And just a perfect weekend. What a way to win a championship.
I always love first-time winner interviews. Amanda has found Elias Sabo.
Elias, we talked to your team during the race, and we heard you were a little nervous ahead of the race, being at your first pole, now your first win. If you were nervous then, what's the emotion you have now?
Oh man, it's just straight elation. The team again gave me the best car in the paddock. Can't say enough about Owen Hayes and what he does from an engineering standpoint. And first win ever in SRO. It's just such an awesome feeling.
How long have you been battling for this top podium spot?
Well, you know, this is only my first year as a full season. Been in the SRO for 4 years, but, you know, really did it sporadically. And, you know, it seemed like a long way off. Even at the beginning of the season, we've come a long way. The car's really come a long way. It's just, you know, outstanding, and this result, you know, shows it.
Enjoy spraying that champagne.
Oh, thank you so much.
That will be a happy podium, that's for sure. There's Darren Law, team manager, excellent driver in his own right, coming in to congratulate Elias Sabo on a job well done. Highlights of the second of 2 races here this weekend at Sebring. George Kurtz led the field to the green, but Jason Harwood very early on showed his intentions were to go to the front.
Pretty feisty there in the opening few corners, but George holds down the lead, but what a battle we saw at the front all day long.
Swat that top spot multiple times. Here's Kurtz and Harwood battling it out through the hairpin. This was a pretty close moment, and they had several over the course of 40 minutes today. This was the GT4 start. Moise Uretsky, yesterday's winner, started on the outside of the front row, but he got swept up here, and this was probably the closest challenge Elias Sabo had all day.
Look at Jason Bell, though. Tucked it to the inside from not a great grid position. Suddenly he's up in the top too early.
Harwood again putting the pressure on George Kurtz. This time was able to get alongside, and look how close they came to contact.
Yeah, just really great respect between the two drivers, and then caught in traffic a little bit. Jason pounces and grabs the lead back.
And he pulled out a fairly large gap. This was heartbreak for Jason Daskalos. He pulled off, and how about that save from Harwood? Unfortunately, it was not enough to save the lead. George Kurtz swept on through, and from that point on, he did not look back. A sweep of the weekend, an 8th win, and yesterday clinching the series championship in the GT3 class. And Elias Sabo from pole today, picking up his first career win in GT America, powered by AWS. Exciting day, exciting weekend, and it all comes down to the wire at Indianapolis in 2 weeks' time. The GT America powered by AWS Championship in conjunction with the Indy 8-Hour at the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Thanks so much for joining us. For Amanda and Cal, I'm Ryan. So long from Sebring.